Hi there. The House of the Dragon Season 2 Advanced Red Carpet premiere for critics was held in New York City this past Monday at a private screening, and two career actresses showed up on the red carpet itself for all the press photos, who up to now we were unaware had joined the cast at all. Tsuso Mbedu and Hera Hilmar. And while they could plausibly have come as just invited guests, I mean, it's odd for guests to walk the red carpet, but it's not unknown. There were even other people on this red carpet who we know they were only there because they did a promo for it during their show on TV. This has led to speculation not only that these two actresses have joined the cast, but on who they're playing. Particularly, there's a non-zero chance that Tsuso Mbedu might have been cast as the major character Nettles, a Targaryen bastard and dragon rider, who, up to now, we feared might have been cut from the series. Now, I want to stress this. We are dealing with rumors and speculation here. But I decided to make a video about it because the outright clickbait channels would eventually jump all over this. So rather than say nothing, it'd be better to put out my own measured response than wait for just the nonsense. Stressing this, nothing is certain, and this doesn't prove anything. It's just that up to now, we didn't even have rumored actresses for Nettles. There weren't even rumors, we feared she was cut, and this is the first time I've ever even had a name to apply to the role. Now, why are we so worked up? Oh, well, they came to the red carpet. What does that mean, anything? Well, it already happened for Abu Bakr Salim back in Season 1. Abu Bakr Salim, who is the star of Raised by Wolves, he was father, just inexplicably showed up at the Season 1 red carpet back in late 2022, and then by the following spring they announced he's joined the cast as Alan of Hull. So that's why the fan community's all buzzed with this. This has been known to happen because of the long production delay, that by the time they're premiering a season, they're casting the next season, and this happened in Season 1. One of the people coming next year showed up in it. And also to stress that doesn't necessarily mean these characters would appear in Season 2. If Tsuso really is Nettles, still a good chance Nettles only shows up in the Season 3 premiere. I'm not really concerned with that. Like, we know Daeron probably won't come until Season 3, but they'll start mentioning him in dialogue. What matters is we were starting to get freaked out about whether they're even the show or not. As I reported in other videos, rumors came up recently after the final trailer dropped 3 weeks ago that Nettles might have been cut. So much, and things such as that she doesn't appear in the shot of the trailer where 3 dragon seeds are having dinner with Rhaenyra. There's supposed to be 4 dragon seeds. And even before that, I had said I don't think she's in Season 2. I think they're saving her for Season 3. But after that, there was this leak report that no, she's been merged with Rhaena. And then I made other videos about how we're not really sure she's been merged with Rhaena. They might just be expanding Rhaena's role without doing it at the, well, not expense, but merging with Nettles. And I said we don't really know what's going on, but there are fears that she's been cut. And on top of that, the Black Girl Nerds podcast just did this long-form interview with the whole cast, including Ryan Condal. And the first thing she asked was, what's going on with Nettles? And he looked awkward and said, no comment, I can't talk about things that might happen in the future. Also, History of Westeros podcast said when they submitted questions, when they were handed them back, they said one of your questions was what's going on with Nettles, and please don't ask that. So apparently Black Girl Nerds, because it was a live podcast, asked him anyway. Maybe she didn't submit her questions in advance to get them screened, or maybe she did anyway. Kudos to her either way. But we are really concerned about this. And I've seen other people saying, looking at it's the way Condal said it, no comment. Some people saw this as hopeful, that looking at it, it's like he doesn't want to admit Nettles is coming later. Others, glass half full, glass half empty. Others said, oh no, he's being dismissive. It's hard to tell. It's ambiguous. But this came up in the news yet again like 3 days ago with that. So we're all a buzz all over this of what is going on with Nettles. So suddenly we got this burst of hope that, wait a minute, there's these two actresses who we don't know who they are. They're not in the cast. There's no obvious reason for them to be there. There was another person who, like, it was a sports match show. They did a promo for House of the Dragon, so they gave them tickets to the red carpet premiere. Makes sense why they were there. Why are these two actresses there? And who are they? So that's a whole new section in this of their background and why, yeah, this leads me to think, this is why I'm doing a long-form video, that when you go over their backgrounds as experienced actresses who physically match the role, yeah, what I'm saying is it's a non-zero chance. I hate clickbait channel stuff. It's enough that I'm willing to report on the speculation, but it is just speculation, and up to now we haven't even had anything. As opposed to, for a full year, we've had people going, Daeron must be in Season 2 and played by Henry Cavill, so his horse is played by Henry Cavill. So enough. Nettles is played by Henry Cavill. There's a lot of Henry Cavill in there. Or Catherine Winnick, I don't know, but fan casting. But who are these two actresses? Now, the bulk of this is about Tsuso, because the other one, Hera, is a lot more straightforward, but Tsuso Mbedu is a rising South African actress. She has this rising prominent career in just the past 3 years internationally. She's done local stuff in South Africa before that. Her first international claim to fame is in just 3 years ago, 2021's Underground Railroad miniseries. She played the role Cora. And then, next year, 2022, she appeared in the film The Woman King as a scene partner, not just a minor role, but as a scene partner with Viola Davis. And another issue is just that we're really asking a two-step question here, though, of first, have they joined the cast of House of the Dragon, and much less certain, I've said before, we could usually figure out when people have joined the cast, much less certain is speculating on who are they playing. So why are so many fans speculating we really get a feeling for this? Not just that she's joined the cast as, you know, a baker's wife or something, but we think Tsuso has been cast as Nettles. There's a good chance of it. Well, pausing for effect, because this is the point of the whole video, Tsuso Mbedu looks exactly like our mental image of Nettles. I'm sorry, it's shocking how closely she resembles the large amount of fan art that's been made of this character. That were I to hypothetically describe Nettles to a sketch artist, the sketch would end up looking a lot like this specific actress. She's got that energetic, almost elfin leanness to her. That Nettles is this lean, wiry teenager, and just this African actress with grade 4C hair, who and that looks like Nettles completely. We had spy photos of a woman with hair like that, the big afro hair in the Dragon Sea tryouts. And that, I'm still convinced, I don't think any of those was the actual Nettles actress. I think that was their stunt doubles lining up for a wide shot. But in outline, they'd have to resemble what the character looks like. And then there was this whole debate of, there's actually two black women in the lineup, so some said it was that one. I thought it was a more plainly dressed one to the right because Nettles isn't wealthy. Who's to say? Maybe I was wrong. Maybe it really is the one with the afro. Her stunt double, not the role. Might not be her at all. I don't know. But just it's not just, oh, she's a black woman of the right age. It's looking at her face and qualities and seeing her perform. I've been looking at clips. Just she has that young energy of this really is Nettles. That even if this is wrong, and they do want to have Nettles in Season 3 but haven't cast her yet. Let me repeat that. If they haven't cast Nettles yet but do intend for her to be in Season 3, I would now fan cast Tsuso Mbedu as Nettles. She really looks the part. Now, obviously, as I've said for other casting speculation, I've been following casting speculation for 2 years. That's a lot of what my channel does. When we parse actor resumes, that we go through actor databases, they have to register with their acting agencies, when they list Yet another white male, age mid-30s. There's dozens of those, because it's a war set in a pseudo-medieval Europe thing. So many of these are just like army captains, army lieutenants, or just grunt soldiers. In terms of the physical number of people, there was one African black woman in Game of Thrones, Missandei, that when we were looking at or the failed Blood Moon pilot, or looking through House of the Dragon Season 1 casting, when you have a person of color in this setting, it narrows it down that there's only so many Valyrians that they could plausibly be playing relative to everything, and sometimes they're just commoners in King's Landing. Another thing is, and Game of Thrones dropped the ball on this, the books make it clear, the port cities of Westeros, it's not unusual to see Summer Islander ship crews coming in, because they're merchant people they have merchant ships in every major port. So, like, Chitaya is the brothel owner in what they made Littlefinger's brothel in Game of Thrones. There's Summer Islander merchant ships. They just remark on they're walking down the street from the dock. It is not unusual or head-turning to see a black person on the streets of King's Landing. You go, oh, what's that Summer Islander sailor must be heading in from his ship? So, some of these roles... I know one of them was actually casted. There was a woman of color who we found out was cast as, oh, I'm like the wife of Hugh the blacksmith. That's another role that was just cast for season 2. But in terms of narrowing it down, it's an African black woman. She's South African, not mixed race. Nettles, it doesn't look mixed race. And she's the right age range. So apart from just narrowing it down to gender, female, race, looks the part, that's all obvious, okay? I'm not saying, oh, she's a black woman, therefore she must be Nettles. It's the age range that she can play. Specifically, and this is a whole new section here, on paper, like for a split second, I thought, well, she couldn't, looking up the actor's profile before I looked at photos, well, she could be playing Nettles. Tsuso Mbedu is 31 years old. Nettles is like 16 in the book. They probably aged it up to 18 to 20-ish in a TV show. Then I looked closer, and it turns out that Tsuso Mbedu is just one of those actors with a youthful face who is, like Dawson casting, is known for playing younger characters because she has one of those rounder, childlike faces that doesn't look like it's aged a lot. So like in Underground Railroad, she was in that when she was 31, but her character was only 18. And when I say a youthful face like that, direct comparison, Emilia Clarke. That Emilia Clarke has one of those youthful faces where in Game of Thrones Season 1, Emilia Clarke was actually 23, playing the 16-year-old Daenerys Targaryen. That you have actors, and also helps that they're short, that Emilia Clarke is only 5'3", and Tsuso Mbedu is 5'4", and has a youthful face, so... Also, like, Millie Alcock's actually older than Rhaenyra is, so she is known for playing characters in the 18 to 20 age range in the past 3 years or so, such as Underground Railroad. She would play someone with the physicality of Nettles. She matches it perfectly. Like, if I saw Viola Davis on the red carpet, I wouldn't jump to, oh, therefore she must be Nettles, because... Nettles is a lot younger than her, in physical appearance, that you couldn't have Viola I'd cast her as something else in this show, but she couldn't play Nettles, the late teenager. So Tsuso Mbedu really seems to physically match this. That's one half of it. The other half is she is a very experienced actor. That she's been in Underground Railroad, that she's been in The Woman King, and she's done a lot of local work in South Africa. I watched her show reel. She's been in a lot of dramas there. She has won multiple acting awards, despite her relatively early career. So it's not just, oh, I look like Nettles, but if they were going to cast Nettles, they wouldn't cast a random newcomer. And even like, I guess because the adult actors for Jace, Bela, even Rhaena aren't complete neophytes. I mean, the Rhaena actress Phoebe Campbell won an award last year for something. So they have had experience working as actors. They just haven't headlined a movie yet. I don't know if you could say Nettles is a bigger character than when she is a Dragon Siege. She does have a lot of time with opposite Daemon and stuff, a lot of tension, but you wouldn't cast just, oh, I'm one of the... When we go down these actor lists, we can tell, okay, this guy has no prior work. He's probably Baker number 3 or Army Captain or Guard number 5. But you would expect them to cast for Nettles a black woman who can play, or at least look like a teenager, and one who is an experienced actor who could handle a relatively important role. Tsuso Mbedu completely matches this. This is a prominent actress who would have prominent dialogue scenes. Or like Kieran Boo. You might not have heard of him as he's Hugh Hammer, but he's actually a really, internationally heard of him like the equivalent of Matt Smith, but he is an experienced actor. He's been in a couple of things, so I'll get to that in a minute, but yeah, you'd expect him to cast someone prominent. So it's weird how this is kind of a reverse of the normal trend, where when we're doing casting speculation, it's easier to figure out, okay, this person is following 10 other people on Instagram and has been seen around set. They've probably been cast. It's easier to figure out that they've been cast, and then the step beyond that of specifically who they've been cast as is a lot more speculative of just, it's hard to say. Opposite is true here, that if, big if, Tsuso Mbedu has been cast, she would be Nettles. Just she matches it perfectly. The real question is whether she's in it at all. Others have pointed out, and this is, notice how I am not just telling you what you want to hear, but trying to give you an informative update. Others have already pointed out Tsuso could have just been there because she was actually recently cast in another upcoming HBO project, alongside House of the Dragon's Fabian Frankel, who plays Kristen Cole. And indeed, in the past few days, on her Instagram, Tsuso posted her red carpet image and said, "Wow, this was so fun. I was there because I just happened to be in New York City when my friend Fabian Frankel was having a red carpet event for a new series he's in, for another season of the show he's in, so luckily I was able to stop by." Really? Oh, it was a coincidence. Seems a bit much there. And it could have been. It could have been. You know, international actors, I mean, no, she's based in South Africa, but she's now an international actor moving around between other projects. Just, well, why were you in New York City? You just happened to be there. So it's hard to say that she did have a cover story of why was she there, which might actually be true. I mentioned the Instagram follows. Since season 1, we've used the Instagram method of social networking. That there were no major red flags for either Tsuso or Hera in this. I'll get to that. That back in season 1, we figured out that, wow, a lot of actors are starting to conspicuously follow certain other actors. Obviously, one could be a coincidence. It's when you cross-reference them, that when all of a sudden 5 to 6 known House of the Dragon Season 1 cast members are starting to follow you on Instagram, when there's 6 people just miraculously started following you, yeah, we think you joined the cast. And sometimes it's just their circles of friends, but like, particularly, a lot of them were, a dead giveaway was always when people were friended by Fabian Frankel. That just on Instagram, Fabian is an incorrigible gossip. He follows everyone who joins the cast. I mean, that's how we figured out Emily Carey and Millie Alcock had joined it. He was even posting photos of himself with Millie, but even Emily Carey, we just noticed like 6 people in the cast who are not in other projects with you have started following you on Instagram. We had no such luck this time, unfortunately. That the only people from House of the Dragon also following Tsuso are Fabian and Maddie Evans, who plays the handmaid Diana, but again, it's just friend of a friend. Sometimes they follow each other on Instagram. So if she has joined, but that would make sense because she hasn't joined the cast yet. If she was just cast to appear in the season 3 premiere, logically no one would have met her yet. So we're too early for the Instagram follows method. What I'm saying is now all of the set spies and filming analyst channels like Wake the Dragon, House of the Dragons, we are watching their profiles like a hawk to see if other people start following them as filming and prep for season 3 begins. But right now, that we wouldn't expect it to give anything. Similarly, Hera Hilmar, the other actress who showed up, is being followed by Mbedu, who is Hugh Hammer, and Michelle Bernard, the brothel madam. But that might just be friend of a friend. I mean, we know she did appear in a TV show with Mbedu back in 2015, Da Vinci's Demons. So Instagram social follows cross-reference didn't tell us anything yet. And as I mentioned, Hera Hilmar, this leads into the final section just at the end here. Well, who is Hera Hilmar? The bulk of this video is on that Tsuso and Mbedu might be Nettles. I know that's what we really care about because we're afraid she might have been cut. Hera Hilmar's daughter is a prominent Icelandic actress who has had lead roles in a couple of international projects. She can do an American accent. But her most recent and most prominent role that you've probably seen her in has been all 3 seasons of Apple TV's post-apocalyptic series See, in which she co-starred as Magra, the wife of Jason Momoa's character, mother of the 2 kids who can see in a world where everyone's blind. That she was the mother figure, the female lead in that. So she's, if you think about it, actually played a feudal leader of a sort already, in that she's the princess of their clan. So who could Hera Hilmar's daughter be playing? Well, unlike Nettles, for all we know, they filmed a 30-second Nettles cameo in the season 2 finale, but I'm not holding my breath. She probably won't actually appear on screen until season 3. There is some chance that she might actually be on screen in season 2 for one of the few characters we haven't learned about yet. There's more potential women she could be in the continent of Westeros. That makes it harder to narrow down, like I said. But let's apply the same 3 broad filters we did. That first, this is a prominent actress, lead of another show. Therefore, you wouldn't waste it on a role like unnamed baker's wife. If she's in, she's probably someone important. And sometimes important can mean like the brothel madam is played by Michelle Bernard, is actually a famous acting coach, but she had a decent amount of screen time interacting with the leads, so it depends on how prominent they are. But you generally wouldn't waste it on a barely speaking role. Usually it's someone named in the narrative. Point 2, broad physicality of race gender. She is a white female, narrows it down a little. And point 3, specific age range. Hera Hilmar is 35 years old. And unlike the 31-year-old, 32-year-old Tsuso, she is not known for playing down as characters in their late teens, a decade younger than her. That in terms of the playing age, Tsuso is like 20 now, but Hera Hilmar generally tends to play like she played a mother before, people in their mid to late 30s. Who in that age range, not a teenager, could be in season 2 who's unaccounted for? We managed to figure out most of the female roles who would probably be in season 2. Jess Redfort. Jess Redfort, the companion of Jane Arryn. That specifically, we know Jane Arryn is in season 2. We now just had the official confirmation she's played by Amanda Collin, though we've known that for months. Amanda Collin is 38 years old. So the 35-year-old Hera would be close in age as a couple, that you wouldn't expect them to cast a teenager as this. And you see, we've heard nothing about Jess Redfort, but we still really assume she's in season 2 because how can you... Okay, Jane Arryn is the only prominent LGBT relationship in season 2, and you wouldn't actually show her partner? Doesn't make sense. In contrast, like Jason Lannister has a wife who's actually a prominent recurring character as the story progresses, Joanna Westerling. But for now, you can get away with mentioning... They might have dialogue in season 2 that says, my wife Joanna, without actually needing to cast her, but just the way they usually play this out, you don't have the one LGBT character who is in a long-term relationship but leave their partner off screen. That doesn't make sense. It's very unlikely. So that is the one person, other than Nettles, who we later realized that they might have cut her and were really upset about this, or Daeron, who we kind of thought maybe they're pushing him for later, and now we're pretty sure they'll start mentioning him in Season 2, then put him in Season 3. Of the people you would expect to be there, that we know the narrative is physically going to the Eyrie. Like, we know it's not going to Casterly Rock, so yeah, okay, if they're not going to Casterly Rock, I doubt Joanna Lannister is in it, but if Jace, and then we know Rhaena has scenes in the Eyrie with Jane Arryn, and they just wouldn't show her partner, that's silly. And we could never figure out who was cast as, so simply because it's this one big lacuna, this one big gap in our knowledge, that we got a feeling Jess Redford will be in Season 2, but didn't know who could be playing it. Here we have an actress who mysteriously appeared at the red carpet, who broadly matches the criteria we're looking for. White woman, mid-30s, so she could play the romantic partner of another woman in her late 30s, who is an experienced actress who could be a prominent speaking role with one of the other leads, someone as prominent as Amanda Collin. I admit this is much more of a hunch, and I'm more on the fence about it, but on the other hand, sooner or later we would get Jess Redford, even if in only Season 3. Whereas Nettles, the whole fear is if she's been cut or not, but this is more of a hunch. They will cast it eventually. Okay, I'm edging around this. A large part of my hunch, I'm ashamed to admit, it's a guess I made largely based up on pairing the Scandinavians. That Amanda Collin is from Denmark and Hera Hilmar is from Iceland. So really, the only two prominent Scandinavian actors in this specific TV show so far, pairing them off as a romantic couple. Now I'm worried. Am I subconsciously stereotyping that Iceland has lesbians because their prime minister was the first world leader who was an open lesbian? I don't know. Then I'll feel bad about that. But am I just pairing off the Scandinavians? Does that make me racist? If Nikolai Coster-Waldau was in something, and then they cast a Finnish actress, would I immediately jump to, well, they must have been cast as that husband and wife pair from that other book? Because, of course, they're Scandinavians. That doesn't equate to anything, but she's the right age range and the right experience level that you could be playing opposite Amanda Collin. And Jess Redford is not a big role, but it would appear relatively prominently in a few scenes, just as you're the screen partner of Jane Arryn. The bigger news here is this is all just rumor, and we are really worried about the Nettles situation, and go and check Black Girl Nerds podcast. They did a really good interview, asked really good questions instead of the usual fluff ones of who's your favorite. She asked really good questions. I'm really happy with that. It was a full hour with the whole cast. It's well worth your time. I'm going to link it at the end. Of Condal going, well, no comment on Nettles, and people, it's... Tell me in the comments what you think about it, that some people looked at it and said, it sounds like he's hiding that she is in it. Others looked at the same thing and said, oh, he's dismissive that she could be in it. I can't get a read on it. But the point of this video is, up to this point, we didn't even have a rumored actress to play Nettles. As fan speculation, there was nothing. Zero. And now at least I can report speculation to you, which is more than I could for the past 2 years. And even if she's not in it now, like I said, I would fan cast her as Nettles. She really looks the part and has the right level of experience. Tell me what you think in the comments. This is not going, oh my god, Nettles has been cast, or hey, has Nettles been cast? Let me clickbait you. I am going to start, all of the spy channels are now going to actively start scrutinizing every scrap of information that comes out over social media, casting agencies, of what is Tsuso Mbedu doing. She might be Nettles. That if I was going to point to anyone, it would be her.